Welcome to the SynthGen update number 7, part 5. Part 4, I started setting up a project in Visual Studio Code using the Pico SDK. Platform I/O, it was a little weird. I think the SDK is the better solution for these things. It's just better integrated. The compile runs faster. It just seems more cohesive thing. Got a basic program working, got the workspace set up. Now I'm going to get into the fiddly stuff where I don't really know what I'm doing yet. I might try to use Copilot to have it help me with all this. So here goes nothing. Let's show my desktop. Now first things first, I haven't actually saved my work, so we need to go in here and do some git commit stuff. Add -up. There's basically a summary of what I did in the previous part. There's some stuff that I didn't end up using, as I was trying to use the Bluetooth stack from Platform I/O. It didn't work, so I might as well revert the changes that were related to that. libdeps equals Pico BTStack classic. GitHub Copilot recommended that. It didn't work. There's no such library. Yeah, and that's just removing some comments just to try to get the thing to recompile. Now what we did do is we added this whole new directory, Pico SDK1, new sub-project. Of course, SGP27 here is the prototype number 27 sub-project of the SynthGen 2100 sort of, I don't know, meta project. It's an umbrella project. Pico SDK, when it created the new project, it made a git ignore. So I'm just going to go ahead and assume that everything that's not git ignored really should be part of the thing. Git commit -m setup initial Pico SDK project. Yep. All right, now that I have a commit to start from, how are we here? We got tabs for indentation. On that line we do, not on this line. Okay, so this file's an inconsistent mess. Good thing here in Visual Studio Code, it makes it easy to convert indentation to tabs. Tabs are superior to spaces. If you disagree with me, that's fine. I could tell you why I think tabs are superior. It's because one character is one level of indent. You don't have to worry about if your coworker's like 3, 2, or 5 characters. No, it's always one, and you can make them look however you want. And if you're having trouble lining things up, because they're, well, then you're doing it wrong. Use spaces for alignment. You know, like if you're doing this for some reason, if you're trying to format things in kind of a lispy way where things line up vertically, use spaces when it's important to get things that are at the same indent level additionally indented. I very rarely need to do that kind of thing. I do it sometimes if I have like a bunch of similar calls, right? But in that case, I'm not using leading spaces. It's all spaces after some non-white space character. This happens a lot in my OpenSCAD code. There's a lot of arrays, like, you know, two-dimensional arrays, where it makes a lot more sense if you do line things up, all the X's in one column, the different components that go into the X's, each one kind of in a separate subcolumn, things like that. Anyway, now that I fixed that, I might just amend that commit, because why are we going around doing CRLFs? We don't want CRLFs. That just makes the diffs look gross. And what the heck is up with this? We're going to fix the CMake. Spaces for convert to tabs. We're going to convert CMake lists to use tabs too. Clean this up a little bit. I mean, I'm assuming that's okay. I'm assuming that CMake doesn't like throw a fit if you use tabs, right? As far as I know. And that reformatting I just did is acceptable. Run the thing just to make sure. Here's the the library that it included. Could reformat this too. Although this is a library that I'm not supposed to edit. So maybe I should leave this one alone because it's not really my file. The git ignore, that should be line LF, not CRLF. And the VS Code files, I mean, I guess we could go through but Visual Studio Code, every time we edit this with like the settings, I think it's going to reformat it to whatever it thinks the right way is, so I'm not going to mess with it. The important one is our main source code file here. All right, now in Pico SDK, the run button's at the bottom instead of the top where Platform IO puts it. Is there a limit to how many times we can rewrite the firmware before it wears out? And I'm sure there's some limit. It's just, is it a low limit or is it like 10 trillion times? Could ask ChatGPT about that. Where do I cat the cat chat? Where do I keep? Here it is. It's in this tab in Firefox over here. Is there a limit to how many times I can rewrite the... Okay, first of all, what term do we use? What term should I use to refer to the program I upload to the Pi Pico W? Should I call it firmware? Or would that be confusing since there is a bootloader in ROM? Firmware is appropriate and widely used, even though there is a built-in bootloader in ROM. The term firmware typically refers to the compiled program you upload to the device, which runs directly on the hardware without an operating system. Application firmware or user program, which is basically what I've been doing. So yeah, back to my original question, how many times I can rewrite the application firmware before it wears out, specifically on the Pico W. On the Pi Pico W before it wears out, should I be wary of rerunning the compile and run step from the SDK when I really just want to reboot? That is the thing I've been doing. I've been hitting the run button just to get it back out of bootloader mode. It uses QSPI flash memory, which has a typical endurance of 10,000, 100,000 rewrite rates per sector. We flash it quite a lot before where it becomes an issue. When to be wary. If you're frequently flashing new builds during development, you won't hit the limit quickly, but excessive reflashing over months/years could degrade the flash. If you only need to reboot, avoid unnecessary flashing, just reset the board. If I'm in MicroPython, I can hit Control-D, use the run pin, or physically power cycle the board, which of course I could do. I could unplug it and plug it back in. If possible, load code into RAM instead of reflashing for every test. I did see an option in the SDK to do that. I don't really understand what that's about though. Consider a bootloader-based approach where only specific sections of the flash are rewritten. Now, ChatGPT says that during development, it shouldn't really be a big concern. So I'm not going to think about it too much. I am curious about that business where it can be done in RAM, though. I don't need my YouTube or my stonks up here. Let's see. Pico SDK bootload RAM. Let's see if DuckDuckGo can tell us anything about that. Try generating an AI-assisted answer, yeah. Now, I guess if I'm going to do that, or I'll just go back to ChatGPT and ask it to clarify. Can you please clarify about how would I do this? Why is it tricky with a C++ project? Code runs from flash memory normally, but it's possible to load and execute code from RAM instead. I mean, I suppose what I could do is have a program that just waits for me to tell it stuff and then run, over serial or something. Well, yes, I don't have a large program yet. Run from RAM, you must explicitly place code and date. Use not in flash func. That's interesting. Tells the linker to copy the function into RAM at startup. Okay, I don't want to mess with any of that. I just thought that there might be an option in the SDK. Pico project. I think this seems to be documentation. Quick access. General? No. Okay, this is not just documentation. Configure CMake. Doesn't look like this provides a way to modify the current project. I mean, no, I guess that's everything. It's all in CMake list. All the options for the project are in CMake list. So let's close this thing. Let's close this thing too. So in CMake list, and so do not edit the following lines, some stuff. Well, I don't want to edit those then. Pull in the SDK, use pico import.cmake. CMake like based on M4 or something. Like it's a strange language. And here's where we could change Pico set program name, Pico SDK1, and then Pico SDK1 again in quotes. Here's the line I had to edit. I had to set Pico enable stdio USB Pico SDK to 1 in order to get the serial port to actually become a serial port and then show my standard output to it. Target link libraries. I don't see anything about running it in RAM. Oh well, let's move on. What should we move on to? I could make a title screen. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make another scene here, and I'm going to make a scene in OBS Studio, and I'm going to call it section title. And we're going to go to section title. Might as well show you what I'm doing. Here's OBS Studio. We're going to add some text. And it's going to be called the section title text. And in the section title text, we're going to say something really cool like, I don't know, what should I do next? Actually try to get the Wi-Fi. I mean, that's the big thing, right? I don't need to spend a bunch of time re-implementing my nice serial text input. So we're going to call this Bluetooth? Yeah. Center that. That doesn't really explain. Can we talk some Bluetooth? Can we? Can we? Can we fit this on the screen? I better edit this some more. Can we talk some Bluetooth? And now we add a scroll down here and change the alignment to be center. I'm not an expert with you, OBS Studio. There's probably ways to do all of this a bit quicker. All right, let's get that off of the screen. It wasn't on the screen anyway, was it? Now it's on the screen. In any case, can we talk some Bluetooth? Now, I said earlier that opening this thing in a new profile seemed to make the extensions go away, but the Copilot extension seemed to stick around. Like it's still installed even in this new Pico SDK profile, which is fine. I'm going to use it. Open the chat. Okay. See make lists. Let's turn on some, actually, you know what? I need to commit those formatting changes I did. Good old formatting changes. Oh, there's a space after Pico SDK that doesn't need to be there. Close this again. Go back to this file. Try again. That looks good. Tabs and Unix line endings. Good stuff. Okay, now we go to Copilot. Let's, I want to use the BTStack, library to scan for classic Bluetooth devices. For starters, how do I... Maybe we want to go straight to edit with Copilot, because otherwise it'll tell you what to do, and then you have to click a button to go back to editing anyway, if you just put some stuff into the chat. For starters, and I think I'm going to want to have these two files in the contacts, because I'm going to need to make changes to both of them. Let's. I don't type that version of the word too often. Let's just start scanning and print what we find to the serial port, i.e. standard output. Include the BTStack header files and modify the main function to initialize BTStack and start scanning. Oh, good. It's actually... Now I'm going to trust that that actually is... Yep, accept that, please. What we need to add. All right, so we... Yes, accept this one, and then... packet handler, and then it added a bunch of stuff. Now I would like to keep my original let's keep my original countdown and reboot into firmware loading mode loop in place and just add the Bluetooth stuff to it for now. All right, so it still adds this function, packet handler. Packet handler looks like some kind of callback function. HCI event callback registration, yada, yada, yada. There's my countdown loop. Well, this is not going to work, but good enough. I'll fix it. Tight loop contents. Tight loop contents. Oh, that's actually a thing in platform.h, part of the SDK. All right, so now we're going to ask it to, all right, so do we have to have a tight loop? Maybe we have to have a tight loop. No function has been called by any tight hardware polling loop. Use this ubiquity makes it much easier to find tight loops, but also in the future for lockup debugging might be added. I guess it wants it to be in a tight loop, so we're going to rewrite this a little bit. And I'm going to say, let's see, how do we get the current time? I mean, this is going to turn more into, okay, maybe what I should do is before I do these changes, I should actually refactor the program. Let's get that crap out of here. Go back to how it was. We can have BTStack in there, that's fine. But now I'm going to ask Copilot to rewrite this. Let's rewrite this countdown loop to, instead of pausing, run a tight loop and check the system clock to see if it is time to print another status message once per second, and or reboot to firmware loading mode. Because I want to be able to test that worked before I go and add all the Bluetooth stuff. And this is nice. Like, this is why I asked Copilot to help with this, because otherwise I would have had to look up these functions. Absolute time t. Okay, that's great. It has an absolute time t. 1 second from now, 20 seconds from now. All right, I suppose that's a way to do it. stdio init all. Well, wow, absolute time. Tight loop contents, and then it still added the tight loop contents, like it knew I was going to want to do that, I guess. And once again, this might not be the way I would do it. I think what I would do is say while true, and then say absolute time, end time, then break. Is that what it just did? Oh yeah, it was what it did. That way, this is just another case in here, as opposed to the while loop kind of being built around that one specific timer. This is what you got to do if you want Visual Studio Code to respect your indenting, is you have to hit tab, space, backspace. Otherwise, it thinks that you want empty lines to be not indented for some reason. No, they should be indented the same amount as every other line in the block. Duh. If you disagree with me about that, you're wrong. This goes along with tabs for leading indentation, spaces for everything else. So I'm going to do a sanity check and just look at this to make sure I think it'll work. Timeout, time. What does this function do? Number of milliseconds to add to the current timestamp. Okay, and then that does the addition, which is that really what I want to do? How about I do this myself? Because that doesn't need to be some magical thing. Oops, didn't mean I hit some button. Nope, please close that. Get absolute time. All right, so we say absolute time t start, yes, exactly. Start time equals get absolute time. At some point during the fray there, what was that? Delayed by ms. So 20,000 milliseconds, yes. Start time, 20,000. And same here, delayed by ms, start time, 1,000. Next print time. You know, and what we can do here is just every time we'll just add thing is, what's an absolute time? I don't know the units, right? So we should use this function. We'll add 1,000 milliseconds. All right, well, this might be interesting to see if this works. Here goes, I should actually say, rebooting to firmware loading mode. Goodbye. Let's see if this works. Oh, something failed. What failed? Failed. Pico1.elf. What is wrong? Oh, BTStack. No such file or directory. All right. So then we have to how do we do it? I think using BTStack. Oh, this was with the SDK, and I said, help. Let me know if you want help setting it up. Okay. What? And is this? This might be in some tab I already have open. Now this web page seems to be about. Perhaps. Is this about platform I/O integration? I think this is like a Arduino thing. These are like Arduino. You can tell by the way they're capitalized. These are like Arduino library classes. So this is not about the Pico SDK. I mean, it might use the Pico SDK. We want to know the official SDK way. Pico SDK BTStack. How do we do this? Not working. BTStack, documentation for which is found here. Okay, let's click here. You're not supposed to name links here. Sometimes it just it's hard to come up with better names. You could say at bluekitchengumb.com. That's funny. The GmbH, you know, like that should be a top level domain, like LLC and whatever. I mean, I don't know, maybe not. There's so many dumb TLDs nowadays. Like, they really messed up, I think. And suddenly everybody and their brother could buy a TLD, assuming they and their brother had boatloads of money. Quick starter guide. BTStack, how to configure it. Adjust this configuration file. I'm not entirely sure that I need to deal with this just yet. Okay, this is taking too long. How do I enable support for the BT? And actually, there's a specific one. Did I already talk about this? What did I ask it? It's like BTStack _ something _ classic. Maybe I mentioned it in my README, my devlog here. BTStack _ classic. And I'm not sure if this is the name of the library or what, but maybe ChatGPT will know what I'm asking about. Reason. Think before responding. What does this button do? Oh. How do I enable support for the BTStack? That's funny. You can ask the LLM to think, because of course by default they don't. So it's an extra. I wonder how that works, you know. I mean, that's interesting stuff. How do you get these LLMs to think, right? I should make a different video about that. Maybe somebody else made a better video about it. Give me a second. I'm gonna drink some coffee. This coffee got cold. Been at this too long. How do I enable support for the blah, 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 library or whatever in the Pico SDK? Huh? How do I do this? Scroll back down to the bottom. All right. Yes, it's initialized. Of course. Oh my God. I don't get cloned. No, I already have the SDK. All right. Add the following lines to your CMake lists. Target link libraries. All right. Is that a thing? Target link libraries. Okay. So Copilot just called it BTStack. Now, it could just be calling it this because that's what I asked for, but that might not really be what it's called. Okay, let's click the run button and see if it works. If not, then we got to do more research. Building. There was an error. BTStack config.h. All right. It has been mentioned that I need a BTStack config.h. Wouldn't it be neat if, oh, there we go. Maybe I can make this kind of small, and when I really want to look at it, I'll make it big. Failed to compile project, yes. I know, please go away. Oh, frickin', I hate these pop-ups. Failed. Okay, so now we go back to the documentation, or read the rest of what ChatGPT told me. Enable the features. Yep, do that. That's interesting. ChatGPT has both of these enabled. I wonder how that would work, if that's even valid. Add extra outputs. Configure for Bluetooth transport. You need to define the Bluetooth transport mode. This tells Pico SDK to enable Bluetooth Classic mode. Add compile definitions. That's interesting. Okay. Now, third, compile def. That's not already been done anywhere. I'm skeptical about this. I'm going to go to the function detailed description. How to configure BTStack. Adjust BTStack config.h. Add necessary source code files to your project. I don't know. I don't know any of this. What? What? Once again, this seems like too much. This seems like I shouldn't have to do quite this much. Like I went to the wrong place. Like I don't need. How about, here we go. Let's go to the examples. Bluetooth examples. All right, so this is a project. Getting started. To get the, and I have the SDK up and running, I think. I hope I did it right. I just clicked some buttons in Visual Studio Code. Like, free RTOS kernel. Ooh, yeah, maybe I should use free RTOS. That'll be a different video. Would be interesting to mess with that stuff, I think. Otherwise, I always try to write my own operating systems. Networking, BT, Bluetooth, that I have Bluetooth. Only available for is the support Bluetooth. There are examples from the Bluetooth section here. Bluetooth only on mode only. Background pull or free RTOS with the default being background. This can be changed. Interesting. So apparently we have a lot of decisions to make. If I do want to mess with free RTOS, I have to make that decision up front. Bluetooth examples that use audio. Interesting. It's a lot of stuff you can do with a Pico W. Mod player, hell yeah. Let's make a mod player in our Pico. Standalone Bluetooth examples, temperature sensors. Okay, so if there's a Bluetooth example that connects to a host, I think we are we the host? I think we're the host. We don't want GAT because that's a BLE thing, and we're using classic Bluetooth, I'm pretty sure. Forward audio from a source to a sink. Receive audio, stream, and control playback. Oy. Enable device under test mode for classic. I am just looking at this list of examples trying to figure out what it is I want to do. Hog host. Let's look at this. Yada yada, copyright gobbledygook. Tell me what it is. This example implements a minimal HID over GAT. No, we can't do GAT. That's wrong kind of Bluetooth. Bluetooth classic. Gap? Maybe we want a gap inquiry. How am I supposed to do this if I don't already know all the terminology? Generic access profile. How much Bluetooth device connection with each other? Application discovers surrounding Bluetooth devices. Ooh. And collects their class of device, COD, page scan mode, clock offset, and our SSI, whatever all that is. After that, the remote name of each device is requested. Hey, that sounds wonderful. That sounds just like what I want. Now, this is from the BTStack project. This is their, which is why there's so much different stuff they have in here. So this doesn't necessarily tell us how to set it up within. Okay. They did say these examples are only, they're examples from the. All right, so this tells us what we have to do. We have to. No, it doesn't tell us what we have to do at all. Gosh. Bluetooth. Without all the common example build infrastructure. No, I do want the common example build infrastructure. Let's see if they, in CMake lists, say anything about it. BTStack? Bentradinic stack? Bluetooth. This doesn't say anything about Bluetooth or BTStack. Well, I'm running out of options that are not just follow along with either ChatGPT or the documentation. I'm really trying to avoid those because both of them seem confusing. Documentation, Pico SDK. Networking libraries. Nope. Yes. Let's start at the top here. Supplemental license for BTStack is provided here. Well, I don't want BLE Classic. Adds support for native for Bluetooth Classic. You can link to either library individually or to both. You need to provide a BTStack config.h file in your source tree and add its location to your include path. All right. That may match what ChatGPT was trying to tell me. Well, okay. Pico BTStack Classic is available in the import.cmake. Now I'm using I just installed it today, so does this mention BT? It does not mention BTStack anywhere, but I don't know that it has to. BTstack.h. Okay, so the current trouble we're running into, what was it? There was something missing. We need BTstack config.h, just like the documentation says. So we will add it. New file. How do we make a new file? Should have a whole video on making a new file in Visual Studio Code. There we go. Here's our BTstack config.h, and of course this should use tabs. I gotta make that be the default and Unix line endings. BTStack configuration macros enable Classic and enable BLE are defined for you when you link to the Pico BTStack Classic and Pico BTStack BLE libraries respectively, so you should not define them yourself. How to configure it? I guess I'm going to have to configure it, aren't I? Which brings us to this horrible page. The file describes the system configuration, used functionality, and the memory configuration. This might just be unavoidable. Oh, it does have 3 parts, huh? Let's see, did this guy, did ChatGPT have any suggestion? It did not give me a suggested BTStack config.h. I could ask it for one. Why am I using ChatGPT instead of Copilot here? It seems to give slightly more reliable advice. Yep. So we're going to add BTStack.h, and then within this loop, we're going to say BTStack init. Okay, that's not within the loop. That's outside the loop. Guess we'll do the initting at the top here. And then within the loop, should we... No, this assumes that tight loop contents doesn't... Oh. No op function. All right, that's interesting. This tight loop contents function that's defined by platform H is defined as no op. It's just there so that you can find your tight loop. Well, this is the tight loop. Maybe I'll keep it at the bottom or the top. Bottom? Top. Let's spend 10 minutes deciding whether to put it at the bottom or the top. Let's put it at the bottom. If we don't get to the bottom, then maybe we broke out. Maybe. BTStack run loop execute. BTStack init is undefined. BTStack init is undefined, I will tell ChatGPT. Is BTStack properly included or initialized? Well, that could be. And I did add it here, add compile definitions, Pico BTStack Classic 1. Okay, that's the thing that it had asked me to do twice now that I haven't done. Not sure where I would add that. Maybe I'll add it here after target link libraries. Now I'll click run and see what the SDK comes up with for this. Now, of course, I still haven't put anything in my BTStack config.h. BTStack min. Min? I don't know. What is BTStack min? I think if we put that in there. Minimum functions. Function. That's a minimum function. Okay, that's... I don't think we need that. Let's go back to the documentation. I might just be making everything take twice as long. Define have directives. Have standard input is available for CLI interface. I mean, I do have it available. How was that? Oh, have BTStack system properties. Define, sure. Let's try that. EWIP. I don't know. Embedded platform properties. System provides time in milliseconds. I think so. I don't know. How come the... I mean, it should tell me. A GAT header can be used to run the BTStack compile GAT tool to make a GAT header file from a BTStack GAT file. Oi! Complicated. And that's why I'm making this video, because this is some complicated baloney here. Do I need that? I don't even know what that is. The main Pico... Oh, no, I think I scrolled too far. Yes, I scrolled too far. I don't want... Libraries are available for you to link. Well, okay, so if we just get rid of that thing that doesn't work, what happens? Will this compile? No. Why did it not compile? Where's the error message? File included HCI ACL payload size. Is that something I was supposed to define? (1021 bytes). I guess we should set it to that. Don't know why 1021 instead of like 1024, but you know, maybe there's a 3-byte header and the max packet size is 1024. They say 121, so there you go. Memory configuration. I guess we have to set all of these. I'm going to ask Copilot to help. Maybe it can help here. I need to set a bunch of stuff in BTStack config.h for my Pico W project. Are there some recommended defaults? If so, add them. Recommended, or at least reasonable, for a Hello World Bluetooth project. Basic Bluetooth project on Pico W. I'd recommend a default configuration. And it's thinking. And my incense burned out. I need to get new incense. Of course, I moved my trash can because my cat kept trying to eat the trash. So what do I do with the old incense dust? I'll empty it into this little thing. This is why you burn incense. It gives you something to do while you're waiting for your compiler to run or for your LLM to come up with suggestions. I could burn this stuff that my wife gave me. It's these weird little spirals, and they break apart, so it's kind of a mess. But they do smell good. There, got that running. Meanwhile, it looks like Copilot is adding crap loads of definitions. That is a lot of junk. Oh my god, that can't be right. Do I really need to set all of that stuff? Did I just send this thing into an infinite loop? I'm going to crash Copilot. This is how you crash Copilot. You ask it to fill in your BTStack config.h. I mean, if this is really what you have to do, I'm glad I asked Copilot to do it. Is there there's got to be like an example. Pi Pico W BTStack config.h example. There's got to be like a template for you to use. Nobody can expect you to fill in all that stuff. I had the same issue when I saw the standalone examples. I want to know what issue they had. Is it the same issue that I am having? What was the question? Well, I have btstack.h. That doesn't seem to be my issue. Yeah, they just have a few things in here. They don't have a megabyte of... Oh my god, it's still going. Restore, transfer, exchange, agreement, derivation, retrieval, security, encryption, signing, validation, renewal, backup, restore, exchange, agreement. I think it's trying to type banana here and it doesn't know when to stop. This is, yeah, let's stop this. Let's say, can you please stop? How do we tell it to stop? Copilot, please stop. Please stop. No, can we? Oh my god. Oh dear. Oh geez. Oh, here's a stop button. Yeah, let's discard that crap. Can we discard that crap? We can discard that crap the old-fashioned way. Put it back the way it was. Why is this thing dancing all over the place? That's distracting. Okay, now we're going to go and use this example. Somebody gave this example. Oh, it's from the Pico SDK. Please link to well, I don't want BLE, I want classic. BT standalone. What does standalone? Maybe that means not using free or toss or whatever. Source code for most of the Bluetooth example is stored in libbtstack example. The standalone example and the... What does that mean? What does standalone mean? And this is why I try to use LLMs to help me, because none of this stuff is self-explanatory. Is there a book that I could read? If anybody who works on the SDK, is listening to this, maybe you could point me at a book. I can go sit in the recliner and then read the book, and by the time I get to the end of the book, I'll understand what to do. Because right now I don't. All right, where are we? Yes, the standalone. Now, what did they do here? They added BLE. They didn't add the classic, and I'm pretty sure I need classic. Standalone. What the heck does standalone mean? You guys, please explain what that means. DUT mode classic. Wonder what DUT mode is. I don't know what DUT mode is, but if classic means, oh, and then they only have a CMake list. Nope, that does not help. Config. BTStack config.h. Wonder what's in here. If enable BLE. Oh. If enable classic. So I just put a 1 or whatever after the thing I want. Wait. Enable, except they're not defined here. What am I supposed to do with this file? Who includes this file? BTStack. Oh, where did I don't even know what I just clicked. I went back too far. Apparently using something other than my back button. Firefox. Does Firefox have a Copilot kind of thing? Because I want to sit here in the web browser and ask Copilot. On my work computer, we have Edge, and I have Edge Copilot, which I wonder if that's backed by the same stuff as GitHub Copilot, because they're both owned by Microsoft, right? Firefox Copilot. Does it have such a thing? Experimental feature, I would hope so. The option to use an AI chatbot of your choice in an updated sidebar. The sidebar allows you to keep a variety of browser tools, including a chatbot in view as you browse. I mean, the thing that I want to do is give it the page I'm looking at as context, as opposed to just, or I could send the link to ChatGPT. I think ChatGPT is capable of following links. Maybe there's not much point to messing with this right now. BTStack config. Maybe this would have been a good live stream. Thing is, I never know when my kid's going to start screaming and I have to leave to go check on her. I'm going to go to ChatGPT and I'm going to vent at it. Did it ever give me a... I need a BTStack config.h. There is various documentation around The BTStack website has documentation, but it is not specific to the Pico W, and there are a lot of options that I don't know what to do with. The Pico SDK project, as found on GitHub, has some BTStack config.h's, like this one. I just want a minimal BTStack config.h that gets Bluetooth Classic working so that I can scan for devices and print out their names. You can start with this. Enable Bluetooth, enable Classic. All right, sounds great. Why don't we take this stuff that, hey, look, it didn't keep going forever. See, this is why I go to ChatGPT instead of buggy old GitHub Copilot. Of course, I could ask Copilot to use, this is ChatGPT. I think it's using the same model. What am I using here? What model? I think this is 4.0 or whatever. All right, let's read what we typed. Have BT, that's the stuff I added. HCI, ACL payloads. Okay, those are the two things I added. Define. Oh, I guess you can just define. What does that do? What does it do when you just define without, does it define it as itself? Does it define it as like true or one or something? Okay, unrelated question. What happens when you just define something? What is something defined as when no value is specified? What do we call it? Replacement text? It has no specific value. It exists, but expands to nothing. Oh, all right. So you can use if-def, right? If-def. It's not like in Windows batch scripting where empty value is the same as the thing not existing. All right, there's, question. Enable HCI and L2 cap. All right. I don't know what those are. Whatever those are. Lamau. Enable gap inquiry. Enable standard logging. Enable log error. Have embedded, yeah. We saw that one before. I thought that should be set. To host flow control. What happens if we click run? Will it work? I doubt it. Maybe it'll work better. Maybe we'll get a new error. Enable classic redefined. I wonder why that happened. Did I do something in here? This might have caused it to include some other header file that did that already. I'm going to ask, now I'm going to go back to GitHub Copilot here. Enable classic redefined. I suspect that caused some other definition of it to be included. Should I not be? I got that line of cMakeLists.txt from some LLM, which is the correct way to enable classic. To correctly define enable classic in your CMake, you should use add definitions or add definitions, D Pico BTStack classic using if you have a specific target. I don't know what that means. Oh, this is the target, right? CMake, you can define things for targets. If you only need the definition for a specific target. Okay, that did not really answer my question. So I'm going to if and def enable. I could do that, or I could just comment it out, right? C preprocessor won't see that if it's got slashes in front of it. Let's try this again. What's the next problem that we're going to see? Num link keys. Num. We didn't do enough num link keys. Where should be defined? And what would be a good value? Number of Bluetooth link keys you want to store. I wonder if that's related to the that limit we were running into of 7 balance boards at once. Wonder if it's set to like 7 or 8 somewhere, you know, and one gets used by the host or something. Okay, with anything else? That's the only obvious one. Compile it. HCI dump requires enable printfx dump to be defined. All right, I'll enable printfx dump. Why not? Why does this thing keep going? IntelliSense is getting ready. HCI host SCO packet num. How about HCI host SCO packet num? That is what it was complaining about, right? It's undeclared. Should also be defined in your config.h file. It specifies the number of synchronous connection-oriented packets that the host can handle. A typical value is 10. Sounds good. Try again. Of course, you need a num and a len. HCI host ACL. Okay. Also, bleh and bleh. Copy pasting these undefined constants into Copilot so it can tell me what to set them to. These parameters, HCI host ACL packet num and HCI host SCO packet len, specify the number of ACL, the asynchronous connection list packets, and the length of the SCO packets. There's these two different kinds of packets, and each one has like a count and a length. So I guess that got to define that so it can have some memory allocated to it. If you're not doing dynamic allocation, maybe we could just set dynamic allocation, but that, we're embedded, we shouldn't be dynamically allocating like that. All right, let's do what it says here. Define HCI host ACL packet num and define HCI host SCL SCO packet len to 60, and I'm guessing I will need an HCI host ACL packet len also. $10.21. Oh, did I already set that one? Oh, there's HCL packet size. Maybe we don't need it because we already have a packet size. Well, since that seems to be related, I'm going to put it down here. HCI ACL, not host ACL. Add it just in case. All right, copy pasting random numbers into my config file. Hopefully, if there's a problem with these numbers, we would get some debugging output, right? The library will be like, not enough space for packets. Did it just, no, it did not complete successfully. Or did it? It did. I think it worked. I think this is all stuff from the, how do we clear the terminal? Anyway, I think that worked. Let's try uploading this to the device, see what happens. Loading into Flash. The device will be rebooted. Amazing. Now we'll reconnect to it. T-Link, where is it? COM7, COM8, COM3, 4, 5, 6, maybe COM9. It only goes up to COM9, right? At some point I opened the Arduino IDE just so that it could give me a list of the ports. The device was rebooted to start the application. Neat. No, I'm not seeing anything on this. I mean, at this point, it's probably rebooted again. Back to bootloader mode. Except no, it has not. What has it done? It's just disappeared. Maybe I bricked it. I don't think it's possible to brick it. I think you can always boot cell button, get it back to life. Windows, show COM ports. How to check COM port. How to check COM port. I went to, what I really want to do is list COM ports. How do I identify COM ports? Device manager. Is there a way to do it from the command line? I mean, obviously programs can do this. Somebody gave bad answers. That always happens on those Microsoft forums. I'm going to ask ChatGPT. Is there a way in Windows 11 to, preferably from the command line, did I misspell preferably? Because nope, one R, preferably in the command line, show a list of COM ports using PowerShell mode. Really? Mode. I don't think I have any right now. I'm going to unplug this thing and plug it back in. The Pi Pico W, that is. Ugh. Okay, unplugged. And I think I have to take it out of my little 3D print holder and replugged. Okay, and then I'm going to type mode. It's still not showing anything. Now at this point, if my countdown loop is running, well, obviously it's not making it back to bootloader mode. So I'm going to unplug it and replug it back in. Get it back to bootloader mode. And then perhaps change a little bit at a time of this program until I can see my output to the serial port again. BTStack run loop. Wonder if executes configured run a loop. It does not return. Well, there's my problem. Is there a way I can do whatever the run loop would do? We're going to ask Copilot. Never returns. Is there a function I can call from my main loop that would do the inner part of that function main loop? Or is there a way to register a callback that will often call, for example, to muck around with the serial port? Run loop set timer and add timer functions. Oh, interesting. Perform tasks such as interacting with serial port within the BTStack run loop. It sounds like that's the way to do it. How about the other way? Can I be in control of the loop and just poll BTStack to do its thing every so often? Yes, you can be in control. Run loop embedded execute once. Ah, that sounds like what I want, you know? I wonder if also BTStack run loop.h, really? Oops. Yeah. Yep. No. Nope. You know. Yeah. Try it. Is that a real thing? Or is our friend Copilot here hallucinating? BTStack run loop init. Loop embedded get instance. Run loop init. That the main run loop must be called before any other run loop call. I am getting the impression that this is not the way to go about it, although that is defined. Generic functionality required by the Bluetooth stack, an example on asynchronous I/O for various devices. BTStack data sources. There's the BTStack run loop struct. BTStack run loop base init. I still think that this is all meant to be used to control its run loop, not to do your own run loop. Registers callback with run loop and mark main thread as ready. Run loop trigger exit, D init. Okay, never mind. Let's go back to the first answer. We still need run loop.h, but we're going to add these things as timers. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do this. Okay, I'm not going to just copy paste it. I'm going to do this properly. So BTStack run loop init. Does that actually take a parameter? Run loop whatever, get instance, embedded. And where do we find such a thing? Embedded. BTStack run loop whatever .h. Now what is in run loop embedded.h? Functionality specific to the embedded run loop. What is the embedded run loop? What does that mean? Maybe it means we're on a Pico W and we're in a tight main loop. No. Expected a file name. What did I mess up here? I messed up the double quote. Okay, so we're going to try to do things this way. We're going to BTStack run loop embedded execute once and never return. To do move all this stuff. And we're going to call BTStack run loop set timer handler. Timer handler. What's a timer versus a timer handler? Periodic timer callback. Oh, I see. We create a periodic timer. We'll call this the, yes. We'll just call it periodic timer. Set timer handler, periodic timer. Oh, we're going to use one of those, huh? Is that how that works? And then we can When I say one of those, I'm talking about, what do they call it, a lambda expression in C++? That would be a way to do it. But I'm going to define it the way they did here. Define a callback, and then I'm going to move all this stuff to my periodic timer callback. Okay, what kind of function does that need to be? That needs to be these little teeny tiny scroll bars. Not a big fan. It needs to be this type of thing. A BTStack timer source T pointer taking void function. And within that function, we're going to take all of this stuff. And we're going to put it in there. Nope, I was trying to click here. Oh my god, fix the dang indentation. And then, of course, instead of breaking, we're going to reboot back into firmware loading mode. And of course, these things need to be initialized when the program starts. Our different timer absolute time t's. 20 seconds from now being beginning of program. Here's some of that space-based alignment I was talking about. Get rid of the initialization up here. Probably could have had Copilot do this for me, but absolute time t. All right, so we set the timer handler, and then we have to set the timer. And then we have to add the timer? What's the difference between setting a timer and adding a timer, do you think? I have got to fix this to show me my white space, because this business where I can't tell until I'm editing the line whether it's a tab or a space. Auto trim white space rendering, render white space. Just always show me the white space. Sure. Does that work? That is better. Yes, thank you. So this is wrong. This is wrong. And yep. And see, this is what I'm talking about. It messes it up. Trim trailing white space. No. Okay. There. Stop removing the tabs that I inserted intentionally. And now I can remove this stuff. And now I can fix this indentation. Absolute time diff from absolute time. Absolute time t loop time equals, just get it once. If the loop time is past the next print time, print and increment it by 1,000. If I get this working, I'm calling it the end of the video. It's too long. Hour and a half, too much. All right, got some problems. And there's too much stuff on the screen, and it's too hard to click on the things. Go away, go away. Compile. Go away. What's the problem here? Undefined reference to run loop embedded execute once. That's because that's not a thing. So we find where we said that and we delete it. Run, how do we do it? BTStack run loop. Nope. We can base in it. We can dump a timer. Execute callbacks. Run loop set timer. Where's the thing where we just start the loop? Run loop execute. All right, do that at the very end of the function. Compile. Undefined reference BTStack run loop embedded get instance. This is a completely different Visual Studio Code window. Don't need that. All right. Run loop embedded get instance. So we included this thing, but we may have to, you know, we were never calling this before. And I had this sort of working, and we didn't need that line. So I'm going to get rid of that line, the one where we call BTStack run loop init, because I don't think we actually need it. I think that's LLM hallucination crap. And we can do this more often than, we do this every 10th of a second, because we have our own timers within this timer callback. Make sure we do the right thing. And even if we're doing serial port stuff every, let's do 50, 20 times a second, 25, 50 times a second, something like that. What is that would be 10, that would be 40 times a second, 50 times a second, 50 times a second. We don't need a comment telling us what math stuff, you know. I can do math. What I can't do is intuit the meaning of all these functions. That's what should get comments. Compile. I think compiling worked. Is this thing still firmware loading mode? Yes, it is. Let's see what happens. Loading into Flash. And then once that happens, mode. I don't know. P-Link, nice serial. COM8, COM9, COM7, COM6. Nah, none of that worked. I don't know what happens to this thing. Well, maybe it's running. We just can't see it. Ports. No forwarded ports. Serial monitor. I mean, that sounds useful. Yeah, there's no ports. Why are there no ports? So I'm still having the same problem, like even before. Like I wouldn't have gotten any output, but it should have at least initialized the thing. And it doesn't seem to be doing that. So maybe the thing to do is to go back to my program. What is, okay, I need to minimize that. And instead of this BTStack blah, 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 because we're still saying stdio in it all, like, shouldn't it be able to get the program kind of basically running? I don't think I need that embedded whatever.h anymore. I don't know if I even, maybe I need run loop. How is this program changed? What else has changed? stdio in it all. That's the same. I wonder if just doing some delays up front. Hello, world. I wonder if just printing something to the serial port and then doing a we could do another countdown. I is greater than 0, minus minus I. Hello. Starting BTStack run loop execute in that way at least gives it a chance to print some stuff to the serial port. And then we'll continue on and do the BTStack loop stuff. All right, now I don't think my timer ever executed because it would have rebooted back into bootloader mode by now, and it has not. So what is going on with this thing? No, I need to unplug it and plug it back in. No devices yet. Yep, hold on. Give me a second. There's a device. It could not find the device. Try again. Ninja. I had it on my to-do list to check out Ninja. I read about it and it sounded reasonable. Like the guy who made it, like recognized that make files are good. There's just some, they got some warts, some jagged edges. For one thing, make doesn't seem to work very well on Windows. And part of that is just that it relies on a bunch of platform-specific commands, You want your build tool to be a little more self-contained, not require that whoever's building the thing have the same set of programs installed that you happen to. Oh, I should have... Hey, look at that. I got a little farther this time. Okay, but I need to restart it because I missed whatever would have happened at the beginning there because, why is this not plugging in? Oh, come on, plug it. Oh, is it plugged in? There, okay, now it's plugged in. There we go. Beautiful. Now, the problem is once BTStack run loop execute starts, everything goes to heck. But at least we got a few things on our serial port. Yeah, that's good. So it starts this. Set timer based on current time. Add timer. Add timer. Set timer. Why can't I control click on these and get a definition? I can control click on that and get a definition. Set timer. Run loop set timer. Run loop set timer. Okay, that's weird. It's here. Set timer. What's the difference between set timer and add timer? Add timer source. I would like more comprehensive documentation on what this means. I will have to go to Google. or, DuckDuckGo. How to configure it. The manual. Timers. Run loop configuration. Run loop handles events from two different types of sources, data sources and timers. Data sources represent communication interfaces like UART or USB driver. Timers used by the BTStack to implement various Bluetooth-related timeouts. They can also be used to handle periodic events. Now, it might be that I shouldn't be messing with the serial port from my timer, right? That should be a separate thing. It's windy and snowy out there. Timers are single shot, will be removed from the timer list before its event handler callback is executed. If you need a periodic timer, you re-register the same timer source in the callback as shown in listing periodic timer handler. Where's listing periodic timer handler? Here it talks about run loop embedded. Run loop POSIX. Oh, here's the different ones. Embedded. Okay, so we probably are using embedded. Initialize, you need to initialize the memory. Now we're maybe not, okay, we did set all that stuff. And the run loop. Then setup, one word. We're going to set up, we're going to be set upping the HCI. BTStack run loop, okay. So we do need to call this according to the documentation. And we do, in that case, need run loop embedded.h. And we might have to, might be that the program's just crashing because we didn't initialize a run loop, Set timer. I wonder if, there, now I can click on it. Set timer. So I guess I'll just, from my timer, just keep doing that. Okay, that doesn't solve the main problem here, though, which is that if we try to run this, if we try to compile this, it's going to say there's something not defined. Like it's defined according to the header file. It's not actually defined. There is some place where possibly our robot friend can help. Undefined reference. What just happened here? Do I need to add more options to CMake lists.txt to link in the appropriate chunk of the BTStack library? Need to ensure that the appropriate BTStack source files and libraries are included and linked in your CMake list. You can locate BTStack source files. Update CMake lists. Pico add executable. No, I'm not adding paths to the thing. No, you're wrong. You are wrong. Nope, nope. Okay, let's try switching to this guy. Can we? I don't know if it actually switched there. BTStack Classic. That's a different answer, at least. What is CYW43? Is that what's missing? What is CYW43? Low-level utility functions to initialize and... All right. I don't suppose we could grep through the... Yeah. That's not where we add that. Do we add this here? Will that fix it? I don't know. It's just a guess. Hardware UART. Oh, it's winding a bit harder outside right now. Some snow really blowing around. Just a little bit of snow, but strong wind. Nope, that didn't work. There was another problem. This could be the wrong thing. I don't want UIP. I don't need IP stuff. I'm not doing IP here. For handling background work. For what is UIP? Small independent implementation, TCP. Okay, but we're not doing TCP IP. So that makes me think that this CYW43 is not... Yeah, that's something related to TCP IP. So that's not what we want. I wonder if we have to add another compile definition somewhere. How to configure BTStack, classic. Add Bluetooth, subband coding. Subband coding. No, I just want access to that run loop function, which maybe it's the wrong run loop function. BTStack run loop support. Maybe I do need it. But then why do I also need... Whoops. I guess I need whoop then. Just like... Okay, he didn't say anything about whoop. But he did say hardware UART. What if I... Okay. No, I don't want hardware UART. Let's see what happens. This is really starting to get annoying, and I am getting tired of it. And I am going to need a break soon. Yep, Loop. Do we need loop? Is that what it was? BTStack. Oh, I don't want network encapsulation protocol. I don't need that. Here's the thing we added before. Pico loop. But maybe we need loop. Just keep adding stuff until it works, right? Maybe that's why they say all this Bluetooth stuff is beta, because nobody's been bothered to write good documentation about it. Loop-ups. Maybe I need loop-ups.h. Uh-oh. Oh, good, it stopped eventually. Oh my god. Oh my god. I think I'm gonna quit. I'm gonna quit this for the day. This sucks. This is awful. This is just terrible. I don't want that stuff. All I want is BTStack Classic. Well, these are functions. Maybe I need to add that. I didn't say that. I didn't say Pico BTStack as a library in addition to Pico BTStack Classic. Maybe I just forgot to say Pico BTStack. Oh, well, this guy said underscore embedded. That's something to try. Maybe that would solve my problems. Because that's what, that sounds, embedded. That's the function that it was failing to link. It had embedded in the name. So no such file. Okay, there's no such thing as Pico BTStack, but is there a Pico BTStack underscore embedded? No. How do we even find what libraries are available? Because this thing just function. I guess this is the name of the library. No, because I tried that and that's not a library. Integration wrapper libraries. Okay, here's the list of libraries. How to configure it. That would be nice if somebody told me. But this is the BTStack thing, not the, how do I do it in the, okay, I'm gonna do one more thing. If this doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'm gonna get rid of this again. I'm gonna compile it the old-fashioned way. And it says BTStack run loop embedded get instance. Have we already tried asking I'm trying to get the BTStack embedded run loop running on the old Pi Pico W. I will tell it the code that I'm using. Use this line to initialize the run loop before setting up some timer. And then When I try to compile, I get the error undefined reference to yada yada yada. That function should exist according to BTStack run loop embedded.h. Should I not be using the embedded run loop? Or how do I get the Pico SDK to include the code for it? I know that the linker can't find it. Well, yes, how do I make sure that it's correctly configured? It's defined by blah blah blah. No. Need to enable the correct run loop. Well, I don't think I've done that. Pico BTStack Classic? Yes, I have done that. Embedded, then yes, I am calling that function. BTStack run loop embedded get instance, pass to BTStack run loop init. Yes. Use a different run loop. Free R2S or native run loop. How would I use the native run loop? Yes, I use the native event loop instead of the embedded one. Yeah, classic, BTStack run loop native get instance. All right, do I not need this stuff then? Or do I need to say native? Is this even a thing? No, that is not a thing. Native? No. That is not a thing. But it might be a thing because I didn't have BTStack run loop native in my have BTStack. How about like that? Will that work? Will that make it work? Well, let's compile and see if that error goes away. No. I'm going to Google for this function name and see if it's a real thing. How to configure BTStack embedded get instance. DuckDuckGo is not so good for. Okay, maybe what we can search for is BTStack run loop init. Pico SDK. See if that's used. Trouble compiling my program. Yep, that sounds like trouble I have. BTStack run loop embedded, yada yada. And really, yeah, these should be angle brackets, not double quotes. These are provided by the system being the SDK, not. Yeah. So what's the answer? What's the answer? This guy put a lot of code here. Oh, nobody knows the answer. BTStack run loop.h. What I found, BTStack is defined, which also includes more headers. I don't know how you can avoid them. Included, and the error seems to have left. Other errors remain. Okay, well, if this guy needed for Pico W, Pico CYW43 Arch none? Let's try adding this stuff. Like apparently this, yeah, apparently they need to document things better. Maybe now it'll work. Oh, except I still am saying native, which is not a real thing. Embedded. Interesting. We get some new things that it wants me to define. Do we really need... Yeah, whoever designed this and decided this should take up like that much of my screen should be shot. Where did the fucking thing go? Where did it go? Just show me the output. Where did it... How do I open that? I just wanted to close the little stupid sub sidebar. View. Terminal? HCI outgoing pre-buffer size, not defined. Now I need values for pre-buffer size and HCI ACL chunk size alignment. Eight. Okay. That's not real. Size, pre-buffer size, 8 for alignment. What? Yeah. Well, we still don't have that. So I don't know. Trying to get the BTStack run loop to work. is frustrating. So what we do is we add this stuff and we say, this doesn't work. Grr. And we call it a day. Oh my gosh. Frickin', why can't people make software that isn't horrible? Update title. It's no longer about this, it's about trying to get BTStack whatever working on the Pico W. Now my text has moved. Come on, text, go back. Be in the center of the screen like good text. I'm sorry that I failed to get it working. Maybe somebody else knows how to do it. If so, leave a comment. Goodbye.